Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here again on the show. I have our coach Stacy with me. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very, very,
I'm
very
happy to
good.
be here.
Yes, let's bring ourselves here and now because I think we all need it. What do you think?
I think that would be a great idea.
Okay, so have you had any chance to think about the past today?
I actually have. I made a point of making sure that I didn't dwell in it too long, though, because that's not healthy. But I did think about the past, and it was actually in a good way. I thought about it and thought, look how far I've come. Look at the good things I'm doing now. So that
Beautiful.
was
So that
nice.
was a good reflection. That was a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. And did you go there by choice or it just went automatically?
I didn't really make an effort to think about the past. It just kind of popped up like it generally does. I
Yeah.
try to avoid dwelling in a place I can't change,
Yes.
but my brain doesn't always let me not look at the past, as we've discussed.
Yes, yes. It's
So,
always has it's got its own mind almost. It wants to go to the past and for some reason it wants to reread everything from, when I was born to now. I'm like, no, sorry, we read that too many times. Enough is
it's
enough. So only thing we can take from it is the
an old
lessons,
book.
right?
Give me a new Right. It's an old book. Give me a new book. Give me
Yes.
something
I
new and
wanna
exciting to read.
Yeah, there's so many new books we can read. Why am I rereading it? Yes. And or create a new book, right? Like we can create our own new book. We're here. If I'm here and now, I can create something. So the only thing we can take is the lessons, and then we just have to let go of the past because it is something that our brain is gonna pull us to think about. And most of the time it does want us to think about it, those things that we're mad or we're sad or we're angry or we're telling ourselves, I shouldn't have done that, I could have done this. None of that stuff serves us in the moment of now and here. So that's why it's waste of time, a lot of time. So just take the lessons and come bring yourself here and now. Another place, how about the future? Did you have any thought about the future?
I did only in the sense of me thinking, I hope that I can head in this direction. But I also understand that I have little to no control of the future. I have control of the now, and it may guide me to the future I hope to go to. But life is tricky, so sometimes it doesn't always do that.
Yeah.
So,
So another place we kind of go and we try to, as if we have any control over the future, we try to create it as if we have control. But unfortunately, that's one thing none of the humans have any control over the future. It's just going to happen. But only thing we can do is set intentions and wish for better future, right? Think about good stuff. But instead, a lot of us, what we do is we project the past and we always think, what if it happens again? What if I screw up again? What if that doesn't work? And then all of that just creates this anxiety and you're feeling stuck again because nothing you can do about the future because it's not even available to us yet. So why not let it happen with good intention? Why not we bless it and release it and see what comes our way? So we don't have to spend that much time so creating as if I have some control, right? So when I do that, if I release the future, if I let go of the past, look, I have my two hands. These two hands can come together, and when we come together like this, it makes us centered and brings us now and here. And this is the only place, right, Stacy, we can learn, we can live, and we can lead ourselves and others that we care. If we're in the past or the future, we're basically just trapped.
very true.
Yeah. And things I don't have any control over, you don't have any control over. So always, if you can bring yourself back to here and now, that's where everything is and everything can happen and everything can be created. So another thing that we could do to bring ourselves here and now, that's a conversation you can have with your brain. We call that talk to your brain. What else do you do to bring yourself here and now to settle?
I In order to settle and bring myself into the now, I have found that concentrating on what my body needs always brings me into the now. Whether it's I need to take a moment and I need to breathe, or I need to take a moment and smell this rose. It usually comes back to using my senses in the moment. So I'll look at something beautiful and I'll really, really look at it. Or I'll take that time to do some box breathing and get myself into a space where I feel content. One of the good ways to come into the now for me is making something that I know is going to be delicious to eat, nourishing my body, giving myself something healthy, or finding my dog or my husband and just curling up with them and spending some quality time being in space with another being so that I am in the now. Yeah. Nothing gets you more in the now than your kid coming up to you, your dog coming up to you, someone needing you, and not just needing you, but just, being in that space to comfort and remind you that the now is beautiful and it has lots of good things in it.
Yes. So today's topic, should we do a box breathing? Let's do a box breathing to bring us.
Sure.
Do you want to lead us?
Yes, I would love to. All right. So we're going to do a simple box breathing where we breathe in for 4, we hold for 4, we breathe out for 4, and then we hold for 4. So we'll go ahead and breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In again. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. One more time. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And then just back to normal breathing, allowing our body to come back into the moment and now we've oxygenated our brain, which always makes it happy. Lots of oxygen is good for our brain.
Yes. Yeah, just releasing through your mouth makes a big difference too, right? So much.
Yes. Yes.
So today's topic, I know, is very dear to Coach Stacy too, because it's not about behavior, it's biology. And we don't associate how our body is a living thing. And we have so many systems working in this body to bring us to be the person I am today, or Stacy is the person she is today. And in this body, there are so many chemicals that are helping us function. And some of it is produced by our body, and some of it we give our body, nourish, right? But unfortunately, we don't get to learn about these. We don't have that much education on it unless you get to be sick, right? And you and I know very well.
Then you start to learn about all of those things, because if you don't know, you can't feel better.
Yes. So one of those things that we want to talk about is hormones. Today, we want to talk on the subject of hormones because they do shape how we live, how we learn, how we lead. Sometimes we just say, I can't focus. Sometimes I just say, I'm not motivated. Why are you so lazy? Why are you always tired? There are reasons, right? There are
always reasons.
There are biological reasons. But we don't get to... Yeah, go ahead.
All I was going to say is there are almost always biological reasons. We just don't understand them because we've never been taught to understand them. And they are what guide all of our systems, and yet we don't know much about them. And that is problematic, especially when you've got a teenager in the house who's going through all those hormonal changes. Just because you yourself have experienced them in the past doesn't mean that you understand the way that the body networks in those times. It's a struggle for a kid. And if we educate ourselves, then we can educate our children. And then there's a better understanding on both sides.
Yes. So most people, we're just trying to change the behavior, right? But that's just at the surface. Without understanding the biology that's creating it, there's no way that we can get to the bottom of it, right? So it's always we're trying to mask it or call it something different, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I have seen a lot of people just saying, oh, well, that's just what a teenager does. But I might be hearing from them something that's rather extreme and that it isn't really normal. And that's when I'll tell them, you might want to actually go in and see with the pediatrician, have them check their hormone levels. Because, yes, of course they're a teenager, of course they're hormonal, but for them to be acting out in certain ways is not normal, like the extremeness of it.
Yes.
So it's one of those things that it's never a bad idea to want to educate yourself more about how your body works.
Yes.
You're going to be in it your whole life. So knowing how it works is hugely beneficial to you and your well-being and the well-being of other people in your life. Because if you know this is normal and something's happening clear up here, then you're going to say, oh, something isn't right. I need to address that.
Yes. And then most of us, even including ourselves, we always say things like focus more, try harder, let's calm down, right? And we always think these are issues of effort or willingness to do, right? But what if it's happening inside your body? Because we these are all hormonal stuff, as you just said. So we need to look deeper and we need to get curious about why is it happening, right? Not just what it's happening. We can see what it's happening, but why is it happening? And why is it happening repeatedly, right?
And
There's
exactly. And when it's happening repeatedly, that to me triggers the belief that there's something going on with your nervous system not being regulated. Because
yes.
cortisol, which is that stress hormone that always comes flowing through, it is
Yes.
almost always associated with the nervous system safety. So if
Yes.
your nervous system doesn't feel safe, you're going to have cortisol all flowing through your body. And
Yes.
that triggers other hormones. And when that happens, there's a cascade where you really don't have a brain anymore. It doesn't work anymore because it's floating in a sea of hormones that aren't normally there. So
Yes.
it's a challenge. It's a challenge to try and regulate yourself, even with all the nervous system things that we tend to do when we are in a constant state of fight or flight.
Yes. So, the question is all behavior, we have talked about behavior as communication, but we're going to go even further today by saying it's actually a biological response. It's not a choice somebody's making, right? You
Oh, it's
can't.
almost always a biological response. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's trying to communicate something through that, right? So when body wants safety, like you just said, it's going to show behaviors through I'm not safe, so I'm going to have these certain behaviors that's going to be displayed, right? But because we're so about, in the past, parenting and schools, everyone is all about these behaviors are not acceptable. So we tend to look at it with that lens, right? Why can't you control this behavior? You should know better, right? Isn't that how we all grew up?
It's definitely how we grew up. The thing that is so sad about that attitude is that when your brain is in that sea of hormones, it cannot make decisions.
Yeah.
It cannot make good choices. It can't. And I'm not excusing everything crazy that may have ever happened in the world. I'm just saying that when we're looking at our child, when we're looking at our spouse, when we're even looking at ourselves, especially for women going through perimenopause, there are going to be times where the numbers don't add up in a sensible way like they have in the past because we're not accounting for all those extra little things that are happening in our body.
Yeah.
And when those moments occur, we're going to feel like we're maybe a little unhinged, or maybe our kid has just acted out on an extreme way and we don't understand why. And that's when curiosity becomes important. Curiosity for ourselves. I want to go and find out more about what's going on with my body physically, or curiosity about why is my kid suddenly acting out. It can be very helpful to get curious and then go and get the help you need.
Yes.
And
A lot of the time we're making we have these laboratories where we control everything and we test variables, right? But our body is so adaptable that we forget that this is a living system. I mean, this is almost like we don't even know what variables are going in, because our food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe in, everything has chemicals, and every chemical that goes into this body, it's a living system. So it's almost like we have a laboratory that's not controlled. Our body is the laboratory that's not controlled. If I was to do a chemistry lab test or something, I would have it everything controlled, right? We would only
right.
do it under controlled environment. Here we live, and this body is so adaptable. We take it for so granted. With it, we don't think about how many things could affect me from the
I
environment.
think, yeah, I think the environment has a huge effect on our ability to operate normally. And I think that also all of those different things coming in from the environment, we don't, as you mentioned, have control of that.
No.
So we have to be, I hate to say hyper aware, but I'm going to say hyper aware. We have to be hyper aware of what we're taking into our body ourselves. Like, our conscious ability to try and make sure that we are breathing good air, getting out and getting fresh air every day, not just, sitting at our desk all day long, maybe getting out and getting some fresh air. People say, get out and touch grass. And that really is good for you to be
Yep.
outside. And making an effort to eat healthy food that will help feed your brain and help to make you feel better. And none of this is stuff that people don't already know they should be doing.
Yes.
But I don't think they understand that by not doing it, it is a hugely, like, it's a tidal wave that comes into your body instead of just nice lapping waves that maybe get your feet a little wet. When we don't take care of that environment where the things we can control, because we can't control everything. But if we don't control the things we can control, then it's like being hit by a tidal wave.
Yeah,
Pardon me.
absolutely. So let's talk about the hormone. You already talked about the cortisol. That's the stress one. So that's associated with anxiety, shutdown, and it's the one that keeps us hyper alert, right? Like we're just on alert. Our nervous system's not resting. It's always looking for danger, right? So the cortisol
Right.
level in most of our body these days, I spoke to my doctor and he says all of us have a lot more cortisol than we need to carry, right? We need to
Yeah,
have
I think, yeah, it's a huge problem.
yep. Stress is causing it. A lot of stress, chaos in the world can cause it too. A lot of worry. It can cause, and children also have it too. It's not just adults. I mean, children have, because they
I
can't
think
process
it's,
thoughts.
yeah, I think it's really surprising. I was talking to one of my doctors who, his best friend is a pediatrician, and his pediatrician friend was telling him that he has never seen more than in the last 4 or 5 years. Like, ever since COVID, the effect of cortisol on children has been significantly higher. And
Yes.
there have been a lot of struggles with children feeling so overwhelmed. The depression is getting worse. The stress levels are getting worse. The anxiety is through the roof with kids now. So
Yes.
we really need to be trying to nourish their nervous systems and be more curious and more sympathetic to what they're going
Yes.
through, because the world is kind of crazy.
Yes. So let's talk about dopamine. That's the motivation one, right? So that's the hit
Yes.
that we all love to get by scrolling, looking at stuff, and keeps us occupied, distracted. But that's also we're looking for that. We want those hits, right? We want
Oh,
the
yeah.
our life has become that. We're looking for that, always searching for it.
This little
Yep.
screen is
Yes.
very problematic.
Yes.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
So,
And it's also all in one. It's your
oh my
phone.
goodness.
It's your alarm. It's your clock. It's your camera. It's your video camera. It's your photo camera. It's got
Yeah,
everything.
it's everything. And
Oh,
that is by its very nature problematic,
yes.
because it's kind of the example that one of my friends gave, and I love this, so I'm going to share it here, is our phone is like food.
Yes.
It's a necessity in the world we live in, but if it's abused, it's going to cause you to gain weight, or in the case of your phone, it's going to cause you to lose time,
Yeah.
precious time. So much time is wasted scrolling. Doom scrolling is really doomy. It is bringing doom into your life. Why would you want to do that? And yet we use it like an IV. It's like connected to our body physically at almost every moment of the day. So
But
I
then it's
lock
also
mine up.
creating chemical change, right? It's also creating a chemical change within your body. So that becomes now a rush to get it again. Then the body's looking for it. We're training the body so much
Yeah,
that the body search for it now. So that's the addiction part of it, right? You become
it's a
addicted to it.
dopamine drip.
Yeah.
It's like having a dopamine drip connected to you all the time.
Yes. Then there's serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer, right? Stability
Right.
for mood. So with that, if we got cortisol and dopamine and everything working together, and then we have serotonin, the moods are going to be affected by what we're watching, right? Sometimes people say stuff online, people will tell you stuff, crazy stuff, or you watch something crazy or something that's not appropriate or something doesn't make sense, and then you now have all these things acting all together. That's why I said this is like a chemistry lab.
Oh, it
All
really is.
so
It's crazy.
yeah.
And when you
And
don't
then
know when you aren't doing the things that feed your body the right hormones, it it's back to that tidal wave. You are full of a chemical soup that is overwhelming every system in your body, and you're not able to process things the way that a normal, sane, and reasonable person does. So, is it any wonder that teenagers, when they're going through all of those hormonal changes, struggle as well? And serotonin is a really big problem for kids. They
yes,
they don't have enough.
yes.
So,
So you're not just seeing a behavior. What we're trying to say here is that we're going through it, and there's more than that too, more hormones than that. We're just saying that you're not seeing behavior. You're actually seeing chemistry in action when all of these are playing together. So that shift alone will give you grace as a person, because if you're beating yourself up, you can see your body is a chemical lab that's happening without any controlled environment, and it's out of control sometimes because you don't have any control. Everything is being affected on you, so you have to give yourself grace to know that this is what's happening inside of me, so this is how I'm feeling. So when we switch to behavior, or this is how I act, to my chemistry and my all these chemicals are acting, then we have more understanding of it. And it's not just for us, also for children, right, that we work with or we have. It'll give us another shift, another perspective versus behavior.
and yes, and one of the greatest things about learning about my own body and learning about my own hormones and how they work was that now, as a person who's coaching teenagers, adults, I have people with perimenopause that I've talked to about this too.
Yes.
That when we better understand our bodies, then we are better able to regulate the parts we can control. There are certain things we're not going to be able to control.
Yes.
But if we learn how to control our nervous system, that helps to regulate our hormones in some ways. When we learn how to eat the right things, that helps to regulate our hormones. When we get out and exercise and get enough serotonin, then that helps to regulate our hormones and even us out.
Yes.
But the problem is, if you don't know, you can't change it. And so this is a matter of education and learning the things that you need to in order to find the closest thing to equilibrium that you can within your body, because your body doesn't want to make you miserable. It wants to heal.
Yeah.
It wants to do.
Yeah.
What was that?
No, I was just going to say the first thing is education, and we don't have a lot of education. I mean, only now more and more people are talking about hormones, right? When I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of conversations about this. You're just growing up. You just grow up, and that's it.
Yeah. I think my entire hormone education came from my mom one afternoon when we were talking, and she's like, "Okay, so you're a girl. You're going to start your period. This is what it is. It's going to make you really emotional." And that was the entire discussion.
Exactly.
To make you really emotional. But I'm not upset with my mom at all, because she didn't know any better. I mean, she told me what she knew. She just gave me what she knew.
Yeah, and then can you imagine if we all get to learn about all these hormones and how they affect us and why we get emotional during that time and why we have these surge of emotions that come and makes us hostage sometimes in our life, and why do I
Yeah.
feel this way? Why do I want to cry when I don't even feel like crying? Like all of these things would have made sense instead of thinking something was wrong with you, because I used to think something was wrong with me all the time.
Yeah. And then, it gets worse when it self-perpetuates, it being this problem that it's not normal to be this way, when more than half of the people in this world experience this at some point in time for a large portion of their life. Yeah. So it's interesting to me that we make it a closet item. This is not something we talk about in public. This is something we set aside. We don't discuss this. But the truth of the matter is, when half the population of the world is experiencing menses, we should be able to talk about it and the hormone effects of it. And the fact that without it, we wouldn't have children. We wouldn't have people on Earth. It's a necessity. So it should be viewed a little bit differently.
Yeah, I wish it was part of our education system from the get-go to start learning way early about how are you built? What is this whole human? What is it built up? What are the requirements? How do we protect it? How do we take care of it? How does it feel when it happens this way? And what does it feel when it happens this way? Then I'm pretty much in tune with it. Like I didn't learn because I got sick with autoimmune disease and stuff like that at the later ages, right? Like I wish I knew about it. So I think it's now coming, though. More and more people are talking about it. I'm hearing more and more people talk about hormones, biohacking, and all of these early markers, right? So which is nice, but I wish it's part of the education system. So we talked about a few things. First of all, don't look at the behavior as a behavior, look at it as its biology. But then even go deeper and say it's not just behavior or biology, it's actually chemistry in action. There's a chemical reaction happening within our body, and we don't have a lot of education behind it, and we are constantly inputting different variables to it. So it's a constant change, right? From whatever we eat to whatever we watch to whatever we're doing, it changes. So how does parents state, now let's go into state, how does our state affect our children or ourselves, like with the state we're in? How does that affect all of this?
I think that state is it, well, it obviously affects us in the moment and going forward, because if we're not in a good headspace, if we're not in a place of reception where people can come and talk to us about things, and we shut ourselves off when we're in that kind of state, we can't learn. We put ourselves in a place where we can't learn. And when we are in a place where we can't learn, the people we care about don't get what they need, and they don't feel like they can approach us because we're being unapproachable. And I think it's important for us to understand that even with hormones, even with all of these things we're talking about today, we still have the power to determine our own state. It is one of the things that we do have control over. We have control over how we choose to meet people and how we choose to talk to them, how we choose to treat them. These are things we still have power over. That doesn't mean we don't get annoyed. That doesn't mean our hormones don't get a little riled up. But when we have a good state, then we're able to meet our kids and have real conversations. We're able to talk to our husband or wife or whoever is our important someone and have a conversation about the things that are concerning us and that are not working, and the things that are good, because I hope we're not dwelling only in the negative. If we are concentrating on having a good state, we are concentrating on trying to have a positive outlook in ways that we know that we can. I am not a toxic positivity person, but I believe that we make choices.
Yeah,
And
and
one of the,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, all I was going to say is we make choices. And if we're making a conscious choice to be positive, if we're making a conscious choice to be curious about what's going on in our children's lives, be curious about what is making our husband or wife upset, be curious about those kind of things, then that state of care
Yes.
is something that we can give them. And then we can have a discussion and come to an understanding of where both people in the situation stand. And then that regulates our nervous system. To find that cohesion with someone can regulate our nervous system as well. So there are lots of ways that we can take care of the people around us, and importantly, take care of ourselves so that we can all be on a more even plane and not constantly doing the up and down thing.
Yes. So when our state is off, our children feel, we feel more than we listen, right? The words are not, we're not listening to the word, we're feeling those words, right? So that's why the state, when you're in a different state, you're going to say words in different tone, different, that's going to create different feeling. And then the nervous system does sync together. So if your state is off, your child or your partner or whoever you're with, your nervous system is going to mirror that. It's going to definitely mirror that, and that changes the chemical component of yours and theirs as well. And then energy transfers faster than words as well, right, during this time. So that's why the state matters. When you're trying to talk to somebody, the state matters. That's why we always say take care of yourself first. That's why they say put your mask on the airplane first. It's like, if you're not in the right state, you're not going to be able to help. If you're already passing out, how can you help somebody to put their mask on, right?
Oh,
Only
exactly.
if you're intact, you can then help others. If you're not, you're done. There's nothing to help. So that's the serving from the empty cup feeling, right? If you keep
Which
serving and
never, it never
yeah,
works. It
never
never
works.
works to serve from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So,
So same way, your nervous system transfers energy and the feeling more than what you're saying. The words are just not that important. It's how you're feeling. So the state matters so much. So you can say the right thing, but if you're not regulated, they don't land correctly to your
very
child
true.
or partner. Yeah.
And then you lose that very beautiful moment of connection you could have had.
Yeah. So why is it telling someone to try harder makes things worse in terms of a chemical and hormonal perspective?
Because it automatically assumes they're not trying.
Yes.
When they may be fighting for it as hard as they can, but their hormones are in the way.
Yes.
So I remember right before I gave up teaching to become a coach, one of my colleagues was talking to me one day and didn't know what I was going through with my autoimmune disease and said, well, I've never seen you so lackluster. You just don't seem like you care some days. And I said, well, I'm in a lot of pain. And she just didn't even hear me. She it just went right over her. And she proceeded to say, I just feel like you're not trying very hard anymore. And I burst into tears right there. And I am not a crier. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was bad. And I burst into tears and she didn't know what to do. And I just very calmly looked at her and said, I've never tried so hard in my entire life to be here the way that I used to be, but I can't be. I'm not physically able to be that way anymore. I can't do 65-hour work weeks. I just can't. And so as I've begun to work with different people, I never assume that they're not trying hard enough. I always assume instead that there's something off, whether it's hormonally or nervous system or whatever the case may be. Something is off, something is out of balance. And I get to be a detective and figure out what that might be. Yes. And I find that unbelievably rewarding because I am willing to be in the trenches with someone and help them to find what might be wrong. And I don't have all the answers. I don't have a PhD in medicine. Yes. But I do know enough to say, okay, the time has come for you to maybe consider going and getting testing for this to see if there is a hormone imbalance. Yes. And because
so let's go through that trail of I want to go through the sequence here. So as somebody says try harder, you are already at, like you said, you started crying.
Capacity.
So the try harder usually places what does it place? It places pressure, right? Because
it does, and shame.
Yeah,
it causes shame
and pressure. So that makes you what? Stress more. Okay, they don't believe that I'm trying harder, even though I don't know how else to try harder, but they think. So pressure equals more stress. So what happens when we have more stress? The cortisol will go up because
the cortisol goes up.
Yeah. When cortisol goes up, what happens? We're now in protection. So the thinking brain is not going to be anymore on. It's going to be logic goes out because I need to protect myself. Right now I'm on a protection mode. So which means that I can never try harder in that state at all. That trying harder just went out the door. Even if I
and anxiety becomes a very real thing. A lot of people don't understand that high cortisol causes anxiety. So when you start seeing a child or anyone actually who has been usually pretty balanced and now they're having all these really intense anxiety attacks, or they just have no faith in themselves anymore.
Yeah.
It almost always leads back to there being a huge spike in cortisol.
Yes. So you can push performance out of a system in protection, right? I can't get you to perform more. I can't get you to do anything. That's just a shutdown. No. So that's why the try harder fails if it's said in the wrong time. And usually we do say it in the wrong time. Because we think we're helping.
We think we're helping, or we are frustrated and we're just done ourselves and we say it. I've tried to completely eliminate that from my vocabulary.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Try harder it never serves a good purpose. It never, ever, ever helps.
Yeah. That is,
Because when you do have a well-regulated person, you don't need to ask them to try harder because they're excited and they want to learn and they want to progress. So try harder becomes completely pointless. When you say it is not the right time to be saying it. And when you could say it, you don't need to anymore.
yeah.
It never serves a purpose.
Yes. So what actually happens when someone fully shows up? Like, what is it really happening? If they are showing up, like you just said, they don't need to be told to try harder because they're showing up fully in themselves, right? So that means they're feeling safe, first of all, right?
Yes,
They're feeling seen. We always hear about feeling heard and seen, right?
right.
Then there's no pressure because pressure does not do anything to anybody, and there's no rush. They're not feeling like there's somebody's rushing them. There's lots of time.
Exactly. Exactly. They feel at peace. And when we're
Yes.
at peace, our that usually implies our hormones are balanced pretty well, but it also means that our nervous system is in a place of steady, um, need I say joy? Like in a
Yes.
place of excitement and in a place of ease. And when our nervous system is like that, learning is something we want to do because our brains like to be busy. And if
Yes.
our brains are suddenly not busy with worrying and panicking, then they want to start to learn. And that's why this program is so amazing, Kohila, because when we clear out the things that cause our brains to not want to work and just wallow and panic, when our brains are clear of all of those kind of things and we're hormonally balanced because we're caring for ourselves and getting external help if we need it,
Yeah.
then we are able to suddenly put our mind to something that it actually wants to do, which is learn more, be more, see more, all of those beautiful things. And we clear all of the trash out of the way and something beautiful starts to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and also correction, right? When we start correcting people, I don't know about you, when I was younger, anytime I got corrected, I would shut down because it was always done in a place where I felt like I was trying hard enough, and then it wasn't enough for somebody. So then they would correct me as if I have to do more, and then I would be like, I don't know, I just shut down. Correction never works. Support is important. Supporting somebody is important, but start correcting them just loses the person too, because then they shut down as I'm not capable. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I used to feel, is I'm not capable. If they're correcting me, I'm not capable for some reason. So we just have to watch out what is being associated with. It's like an equation, right? I always think of it like a math equation. Like somebody might say, oh, I'll correct her and she'll do this, but when they correct me, I equate to shut down because they don't think I'm capable. For me, it was attached to capacity, my capability, right?
Right.
So correction means I'm not capable. So if I'm not capable, I better shut down. These were the things I used to think. So
And
what are
it's
what are
really hard because parents are working from the set of rules that they were given by their parents,
yes.
and correction was the way that it was done. And so now we find people either still very much like their parents corrected them, or they've gone on this, oh, well, that didn't work and that made me feel so miserable. So now I'm going to come way over here where I give no guidance to my child at all. And I
Yes.
just let them live free and easy. The problem is children need those boundaries. They need that safety, but they don't need to be constantly told you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. They need to be shown how to do it well and then say, okay, now how do you think you would like to do it? Because that was probably one of the greatest breakthroughs that I had when I started this program, was the
Mm-hmm.
understanding that correction never solves anything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
It shuts
So,
kids down or it makes them angry.
yeah. So we're only saying that from now on to shift your lens from This is a behavior. This is something I need to try harder, or somebody else I know I have to try harder. Instead of looking at it, think of it and have some compassion that this is a living system, and this living system is controlled by so many other systems within it, subsystems. And one of the biggest ones are the nervous system and the hormonal system we have. And these two systems are always on, and they're interplaying, interacting with each other all the time. Not only that, but also from the external world, they could be always be changed. So we have an ever changing system here, but we think of it as a very stable system. So we need to be like this or that. But if we think of it as I'm an unstable system, like it's actually a weather system, right? The weather is always moving around, right? It's the same
Oh,
way.
very much.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we're same as that. We're just the weather's going to change anytime, because if I could just drink something right now, I could go drink a coffee and I feel different. I can go drink water, I'll feel different. I'll go drink an orange juice and I'll feel different, and I'll act different. I'll go drink alcohol and I'll act really different. So we can see that instantly, right? We can instantly see how these things affect us. But
I
we
think
don't.
it's why flexibility is so important. I don't think that everyone has this belief that this is the system and this is the way it should be, instead of there needs to be ebb and flow here. Our
Yeah,
hormones ebb and flow, our mental states ebb and flow, the world, the life we live ebbs and flows, and if we meet it with a solid force, it never ends well. It never ends well. We have to be in a state of flow ourselves. We have to
yeah.
be willing to accept things as they come in and as they go. And it's a trick to learn, but once you begin to learn it, it's the most beautiful thing.
But the
Because
first step is to accept, right, that we are
oh
ever
yeah,
we're made out of systems. We're a biological being, and we are going to be always in this up and down, and that's normal. I just have to find what's causing it to be up or down, and then if I'm in tune with it, then I have the key, the code to my own body.
right.
Then I'm good. So that's what we need to teach our kids, and we need to remember about our kids, ourselves, and that gives us the grace to live beautifully instead of blaming or trying to fix somebody or trying to say you just have to behave better.
Which never works. It never
So
works.
yeah, so do you have anything else to add at the end here before we close?
Well, I think really the only thing that I have to add is that um, embrace embrace the fact that we are imperfect beings living in an imperfect world, but that if we pay attention, if we make a conscious effort to pay attention to what's going on in our lives, our bodies, and the lives and bodies of the people that we love and care for, that attention will always be rewarded if we don't meet it with a solid force. If we just try to meet it with curiosity and with a state of kindness, and just kind of let the flow of the situation unfold for us. And some people like everything to be very solid and sure, but the thing is, our bodies aren't. They aren't. They change. And with that change, we need to be willing to meet it with kindness.
And there's nothing wrong with you or nothing wrong with anyone around you. What's happening is in your system, is responding to what's happening around you and what you're carrying inside of you. So when we don't understand that is when we blame the behavior, when we say push harder, try harder, and then we create more pressure, and then the cycle continues. It's an ever ending loop of cycles, right, that we go through day in and day out. And but the moment you shift from behavior to biology, then you start understanding it. That minute that happens, everything changes. I mean, minute I learned about my hormones and how I'm being affected, because I used to be trying so hard to lose weight. You can't lose weight if your hormones are off. You can even stop eating and you will still not lose weight. It's nothing to do with eating. Some people say when somebody's heavy, they always say, "Oh, you must be eating a lot." And I wasn't one of those people. I wasn't eating a lot. And if, in fact, whenever I worked with anyone, they said, "You have to eat more. You're not eating enough." So your body always going to hold on to all the weight because they think you're starving.
Mm.
Right? So it was the total opposite of what I was thinking. So that education about us being a biological system changed everything for even our program, right, Stacy, in this
Oh,
program.
yes. It definitely changed the program in all of the good ways,
Yes.
all of the wonderful ways that it's exciting to be a coach in this program because of the fact that we pay attention to more than just one or two of our systems. We make an effort to pay attention to ourselves as a whole being and all the different parts and pieces that make us up.
Yes. So start looking at it from the biological perspective and look at it from what chemicals are influencing your way of being. Then everything will shift for you within you as well. And then that's how you maintain the state, right? When you start
Yes.
becoming very in tune with that, then you can then manage your state very well. And when you manage your state very well, you can then interact with your kids, your students, anyone you want, because you are in control of your state in a way. So, yeah, it's an amazing
And then,
feeling.
yeah, and then you are a place of calm in a very
Yes.
crazy world, and that strengthens your relationship with whoever you may be trying to connect with because they know that you are safe, and felt safety is hugely important in healthy relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Stacey, thank you so much for coming in today and talking to me with this big topic. We can talk more into this, right? Because you can even take each of these hormones and talk about it too.
Oh, there's
How,
a lot there.
yeah, lot here. We can even go into so much details, but maybe another time because I know you're very in tune with this as well because of your condition and my condition. We had to. We
Yes,
had
we
to.
had to learn it. We had to
We
learn
had
it for our own well-being. It's just nice to know it now because now we can help other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know the power of it. So try it and see how your biology is doing and how your chemicals in your body are doing and see. And if you have any comment, leave it on below this video or send it to me if you have any questions or if you have any other ideas, share with us because we're always learning, right? I'm always learning every single day. Love to learn from you. And if you want to work with Stacy. She's all over the all socials. Connect with her. She offers programs for children and adults because our coaching program is universal. Because we're not just teaching you how to learn math or English. We're actually bringing you home first. Because when you're home, you can learn, you can live, you can lead, you can do anything you want. That's where the performance becomes a byproduct. That's where the grades becomes a byproduct. Then we're not chasing the grades or the performance. We're just coming home here, which makes us a whole. And that's what Holistic Success Codes is all about. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.